Hello and welcome to Audzone. Today I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the settings within Audzone. So on the left hand panel here you click settings and then you basically start at the top here. This overview video is largely for the first time setup, but also can be used as reference for later on down the track. So the few things that are really relevant to do in the beginning is obviously the personal information. That should be filled out, just first name, last name, and the clinician details. You can put all sorts of provider numbers in here, right? You can put the email address in, can change password and set up a quick access PIN if that is desired. Now let's get to the AI and writing section here. In the note writing style, you've got a pad here, and what I'll get you to do if you want to is paste an existing handwritten note in there. That is basically for AI to analyze how do you write notes. And then the same you can also do with the document writing style. Documents in this case refers to like GP reports, specialist reports, etc. So I'll get you to dump that in here and then just follow the prompts at the bottom. Now, some clinics, especially those that, for example, work with vestibular clients or with auditory processing disorder, or whenever you find that AI seems to struggle picking up the specific vocabulary, such as like product names or certain tests like CVEMPs and so on, you can just type these phrases or these words in, separated by a comma, and then AI can basically use those and recognize those better. Things like serostop and the normal phrases we've already hard programmed into the software. Now, if we were to go to the session preferences, you can basically click the auto generate note on. This basically means that as soon as you press stop, it generates the note. You can also do that with documents, and whenever we have new AI models, you can activate the experimental note. You can set a certain template as your personal default note, which is normally set to SOAP note. Yeah. And you can capture speaker audio. That is basically when you are recording meetings from another source. Let's say you have a laptop on the side and you have an interview or a meeting, that you can basically record the output from that speaker, because normally that will be taken away. And then you can also activate the real-time session awareness. That is basically an on-the-spot transcription model that helps with the speed and processes the session ad hoc. Now, in the display, you can basically choose between the system theme, a light or a dark, and you can set your time and date format. And then you've got the privacy here. If you have a patient-facing screen, for example, you could activate the obfuscate patient names option here. Then when you see the any section in the calendar, for example, where you would normally see patient names, you do not see that. All right, let's move on here to company setup on the side. Obviously, you see here the email address of your company. You can type phone numbers in, and an URL from a logo will normally be extracted if you have your website put in here, and it automatically writes a description, which you can then certainly edit. Give it your practice speciality if you have one, and you can indicate your CRM system. Now, if you switch that to Counsel Ear, you will get an automated email to connect Audzone to Counsel Ear for the integration. You can basically just send the setup instructions here again if they haven't come through. Now, moving down to style and AI, basically you can set a default if you want that shorthand, brief, standard, or detailed. Everyone's a little bit different. The same again for documents, which are reports. And then you've got a variety of other options that you can go through here. Now, when it comes to the notes, normally these metadata headers are deactivated, but you can activate them. And what that basically does, at the top of every note, it basically shows you who was the clinician, what's the date, what's the time, what was the appointment type, a little bit of details about the actual appointment. When we move to PDF branding, you have the opportunity to put your logo in there and create a custom-made header, so to speak, which you can then preview here. And if you want to activate that, then you can just click this button here. All right, now when it comes to the integrations, and this is now important for Counsel Ear users, we've got certain headers like a hearing assessment or wax removal header that is basically used for the report. There will be a separate video showing you how to use them in Counsel Ear. If you need additional, you can certainly create them here and just paste the content in from Counsel Ear. Counsel Ear also has certain AI parameters that can be used, and they have basically these funny looking brackets. And then basically we put these placeholders in there, so to speak, and Counsel Ear will pre-fill them from the database, such as the patient address, for example, patient contact details, their pension card number or whatever. So that is basically data that is then not stored in Audzone anywhere. It's basically just Audzone puts a placeholder in, and because that data is already in Counsel Ear, it will, once you saved the note or the report, populate that from your Counsel Ear database. A very secure way to working with that. By default, this is switched off, but you can certainly activate that. Now, if we have a quick look at the phrase library, and that is an important point if you are very particular about how GP reports should be written. If you use the phrase library, let's say for a tympanometry, for example, then Audzone will, when it detects that's a normal tympanometry, use the phrase for normal tympanometry. Let me just show you the setup quickly. We basically create the first category, and then we would create that. We don't need a description here in this case. So we've got the tympanometry, and now basically we are going to add a phrase, and that would be a type A, and then you type in the phrase the way you want that. So you could, for example, write in here, tympanometry reveal type A results consistent with normal middle ear pressure and tympanic compliance. You just type that in. Audzone will then know if that's for the left, for the right, or for bilateral. And then down here in the AI contact hint, you would basically just use when middle ear function testing is normal. Yeah. Once that is done, you can basically create that. Then you can do the same with the type B, type C, and so on. You can do that with audiometries. You can do that with otoscopies. And then it will always use your phrasing according to how you've written that in these texts. And just using AI to analyze basically what phrases to use. This is a one-time setup that you need to do. And once that is done, you will save a lot of time and all your reports will basically look the same. So I definitely encourage you to set a little bit of time aside and put your phrases in. We have experienced that most clinics have kind of their own way of writing reports, and that's the way they want to keep it. All right, now moving on to some compliance and admin sections. The data retention settings are normally set to a 7-year standard. Audio recordings to 90 days, but you can, for example, speed that up and say, I want to delete that after 30 days or after the transcription within 24 hours, which is essentially how I will set, or I've set my system up. 24 hours is good because the recording is actually never really needed once it has been transcribed. Then you've got the consent. Now, you know, when you start a recording, you need to ask the client for consent. Now, many clinics actually don't do that in each session individually every single time they see the client, but they have a consent form at the beginning that they get signed. Basically, in the intakes form, we have that as standard in there, like the APP compliance and like all the other procedure consent forms, basically. And there's one paragraph in there that says that we use these AI transcription software. And if you have that, then you can activate company-wide default consent and save the settings. And then Audzone will not ask you anymore when you start a new session to provide consent. Now, when it comes to security and features, in the beginning, I would say just leave them as they are. These These things will often be used for troubleshooting if you have access issues, but in the beginning I would just leave them as they are. Then we're moving on down to team members. This is where you can basically add new team members. All right, so you basically would just put their email in, first name, last name, and then choose a role and add the team member. For Council Ear integrations, the team members actually come across from Council Ear and will be listed here. The only thing you need to do is you need to pop the email address in and then send the invitation out. You can also, if you don't have certain roles here and you need to create custom roles, you can do that by clicking Manage Roles. It will then send you to the Access section on this side here. All right, so this is as much as you need to know for the beginning. We will go over the templates soon. Now let me just go very briefly to the roles. This is where you can set an administrator role or a hearing care professional. For example, we do not allow our clinicians in our clinic to set checklist templates or templates for notes or anything like that. These are company defined. We don't want every clinician to have their own kind of note style. An administrator can do that, but here you can basically adjust all the permissions for all your users, what they can see and what they can do. It's quite a comprehensive system here, but definitely good to have a quick look over. And then you've got your subscription page with the billing system, the usage section, and then we've got a community here where we have certain libraries of templates that you can import, but we will also cover that aspect once we do the video about the templates. Now, if you have a clinic and you've enjoyed Audzone so much that you want to refer them, you can use this link, send it to your clinic. They get in turn a 4-week free trial. And you get a bit of a discount on your ongoing subscription fee. So that will help as well, and we would certainly appreciate if you share Audzone. So thank you very much for now, and I will be back with the next video when it goes around the templates and how to adjust them for your clinic.